Take 3. Hi guys, it's Stacy again.
And Chris. And today we're going to talk to you about the things we do as women to please other people while we may not be truly pleasing ourselves.
And we have a lot to talk about, ladies. That's a strong statement. Are we doing it for them, or are we doing it to please ourselves? I have been married for 32 years. And for 32 years, I have never truly lived for myself. And it took me a long time to see it. A lot of soul searching, a lot of therapy, a lot of everything. And I realize now, after all these years, that I really wasn't taking proper care of myself. And it took me to sit down with a therapist one day. And she said to me, Stacy, do you really think that running around taking care of everybody and not worrying about yourself is the best thing for you? And I just kind of looked at her like, And then she said to me, if you're not taking care of yourself, how are you taking care of anybody properly? And it took me a long time to really understand what she meant. I got it at the time, but I didn't truly get it until I took the time to find out what I liked, what I needed, and what was good for me. It took years. So that's something I really want you ladies to think about. Do you do things for you or other people? Are you truly taking care of yourself? And let's start out, I started out with my husband, so let's start out with men.
Okay, so I'm going to say, there's phases obviously in relationships, right? So dating a man, you want everything to be perfect. You want to be meticulous about yourself, and you maybe don't want them to see your flaws. I always categorize it as your representative.
Absolutely.
When you're dating, you give somebody your representative. Men do it, women do it, we all do it. It's an automatic thing. It's the fear of...
And you're putting out your best.
Yeah, everything's your best. You're putting out the best version of you. And really, truly, it's out of fear that they're not going to really, truly want, like, the real you, right? You don't want them to see your flaws. You don't want them to see your little quirks. You don't know what they're going to like yet. You don't know how they're going to feel about things. So you give your representative, right? And then once you're in a relationship, it becomes about keeping the man. Making sure they're happy, keeping them, maybe hooking them, maybe trying to marry them and make them your husband. And when it's your husband, then it turns into maybe appeasing them a little bit, right? Now, don't get me wrong. Don't take this wrong. A relationship is a partnership. A marriage is a partnership, and there is give and take, and you will always have give and take. So that is not what I mean.
And as women, we give so much more.
Yeah.
So much more. My favorite statement to say is, men do what they want to do. We do what we have to do. And there's no in between. There really isn't.
Yeah. So we really will do whatever we have to do to make things right, to keep the home, to make sure that, we will go out of our way. Sorry, guys. We will go out of our way, in a different way. We were made to be nurturers. We were made to be caregivers. It's our nature. So it's automatic. And there's nothing wrong with being that. But the difference comes in when the line is like, it's between, are you doing it because it's truly who you want to be? Like deep down, you want to be just such a good wife, and you want to be a homemaker, or you want to be this, or you want to be that. If that makes you happy, so be it. But if you're doing it to please the other person, and you're sacrificing things that you want, things that you enjoy, things that make you happy, then you're really doing them a disservice. Because like Stacy said, if you're not whole and happy and content, you're really not giving them 100%.
At all. And that leads into our children. Our children, we sacrifice everything for our kids. Everything. But is that really what we're supposed to be doing? Is it? Because I've learned my kids are all raised. They're all grown. They're all out of my home. But my kids were very codependent on me for many years because I didn't allow them to be self-sufficient. I didn't allow, because I thought it was my job to make sure everything was perfect. Everything was okay for them. Everything. When it really wasn't what I was supposed to be doing. I was supposed to be letting them live their life lessons and learn and have their own experiences. But I was so worried about them failing when I was failing myself. Literally failing myself because I wasn't taking care of me. I was not taking care of myself. And that was the worst thing in the world I could have did to myself.
Yeah, and so then again, it's the same thing I just said about your husband. If you're not taking care of yourself, if there's no self-care, if there's no me time, you aren't going to be the best mother. You're not going to be the most patient mother. You're not going to be the most understanding mother, right? You might not love them the same. Like, give love exactly the same way because you need to be filled in order to fill them. And part of that is letting them be self-sufficient. Like, your job is to give them the tools to go out in the world and be a self-sufficient, productive, good human being. And if you do everything for them, they don't learn how to do that. And then they go out on their own and they are like, Mom, how do I do this? Mom, how do I do that? Mom, what do I do? Right? We both go through it. So
I get the calls.
Yeah, you get the calls. So it's a big deal. And I don't think we take enough time to think about what we're not doing for us. We just go and go and go and go and go and go, right? And then
I think everybody has their story. I think everybody has a story. And my personal story was I talked about my accident in the last video. And I think sometimes I thought I was making up for things because I was hurt and I couldn't do the things that I once did. So I overcompensated and overcompensated and overcompensated. And in that process, I got lost in them and wasn't given my opportunity to find me. Me. That is the one thing, ladies, that we need, is to find out what we like, who we are as human beings. I was married at 17. My husband was 19. For a long time, I didn't even know who I was because I was just so wrapped up into my family.
That was your identity.
It was my identity. And then when everybody was gone,
now what?
You feel so empty. You feel lost. But it gave me the opportunity to find me. And it is the most beautiful thing, ladies. It really is. I centered in my spirituality. I centered in everything, down to my grief. And I had to figure out a place for everything. But the one thing I got out of it is I had a right to. And I didn't even know that for the longest time, that I had a right to be okay. I had a right to take care of me. I had a right to take a bath when I felt like taking a bath. I didn't want to share my tub all the time with them. I wanted to get in at 8 o'clock, but I always made sure they'd get in first. And I know it sounds a little crazy, and I'm like making a joke out of it, but it's hard as a mother. It's hurtful not to have time for you. And I think when you're going through the motions, you don't even know you're going through the motions because life is just so fast. Everything's so quick nowadays.
And we go on autopilot. So a whole nother concept of this subject is that we do what we're taught to do. So as parents, I think, in my opinion, you pretty much, for the most part, you either parent the way you were parented or you parent the complete opposite because there were things about your upbringing that you didn't like. So then you overcompensate to not do those things, right? And your upbringing absolutely impacts the way that you do it. So if you watched your mother give and 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 never take for herself, you think that's what you're supposed to do, right? And all you can do is learn, grow, learn, be better. You know what I mean? Know more, do better. It's just a process. But I'm even going to jump sort of backwards just for 1 second and say, like, one of my favorite things to tell people is the story of before I met my husband now, I spent this period of time by myself. Like, for the first time, really, I was like so by myself. And when I accepted that, when I truly accepted, this is just about me right now. We're going to work on me. And I'm not going to worry about anybody else. For the longest time, it was about somebody else. I took that time, and as soon as I accepted that, and that I wasn't looking for anyone else, that I was just content being by myself. That's the ticket, is being content there. When I wasn't looking, guess who popped into my life in the weirdest way? It's a joke.
See how cute he is.
In a joke, we make a joke about how I met him. It was it was the weirdest way, and it was completely unexpected. But he's my best friend. So it's a marriage I didn't have before. It's a different relationship, right? But I truly believe in the depths of my soul that when you're not looking is when you find what you're supposed to have, right? And that
when you find yourself, when you take that time, that period of time to truly find yourself, it opens up so many doors around you because you truly know what you want then and what you'll accept for yourself.
Yeah.
Which you'll definitely accept for yourself. Because that's a whole nother topic. Because we accept sometimes shit for ourselves, ladies. Because we're ladies, we're women. It's like, it's back in that caveman days, Adam and Eve days. Women are the heart. We are the home. We weren't meant to be the providers. That wasn't the dynamics of that's not the way
family
God
was.
intended it to be. We are intended to be the hearts and be
the
caregivers,
yeah,
everything for people.
Absolutely.
And that is wonderful that you said that. Time for yourself to find you. If it's 5 minutes in the bathroom with meditation, if it's just the bath you take, if it's doing laundry, that you ain't bothering with nobody for the day, you gotta find time for you.
Yeah, because everybody's situation is different, right? So, like, my example is if you're not in a relationship, right? If you're not in a relationship and you're single and if you are so worried about finding another relationship, the next relationship you find is not going to be the one because you're too worried. You've got too much energy wrapped up in that. It's different when you already have a relationship. That's different. That's where you need to take a bath.
Yeah.
You need to have a girls' night. You need to go have dinner with somebody or talk about things. And you need to have that, I guess, release or whatever you want to call it.
If you just lay in your drawers and watch a good movie alone, you deserve it.
And you need it.
You deserve to take care of you. That is the main point of what we want to get across today.
Yeah.
You deserve to take care of you. You are important.
And your dream, like your happiness is important. It's even bigger than, yes, you are important, but deep down, you, right? It's okay to be you, to have your dreams, and that matters.
Here, I was rocking purple hair last year, guys. Purple hair. And a couple of my friends wigged out Stacy, I can be conservative. I'm not totally conservative, but my style is conservative. And my friends were freaked out. But my favorite saying was, if we don't do it now, when are we going to do it? If I don't do this now, when am I going to do it? I wanted to wear purple hair. And for a long time, I didn't do it because I was worried about what my kids would think, worried about what my husband would think. And I know it's just hair. But we are really wrapped up in what they want more than what we want. And I thought, I'm getting my purple hair. And I rocked it. And I was fine with it. Because I did it for me. Nobody else. And I really didn't care what anybody else thought. And, the older you get, the more you realize you're important too. And if I can reach just one person, and help them get through one bad situation, to know that you're important. You're just as important as the person beside you, the baby in your arms, the man you lay with. Nobody told me that. And it took me years to find that. So if I can just reach one person yet again, it's about you two. It ain't about everybody else. You come first because it's your life.
Yeah. So I'm going to just touch on the other two things we wanted to talk about under this subject. And one is our jobs. So Stacy mentioned, like, we aren't really meant to be the provider all like that, but you get stuck in situations where you don't have a choice, right? So for me, I was a single mom. The
world's changed.
Yeah, things are very different. But my experience was just that I was a single mother and I was young and I got a good job, and that job kept me away. I worked 2 to 10, or, I worked 10 to 12 hour shifts.
And she was guilty all the time.
And now, granted, don't get me wrong. I tell people all the time, I believe it takes a village. And between her and my mom and my sister, I had all kinds of support, and my son was surrounded in love. But I always held guilt. Still, I don't even know if I've completely healed of that guilt for the time that I was away. But at the time, and I don't know if I'd change it if I went back necessarily, because I provided a good life for him. He
Absolutely.
was able to have the things and do the things that he wanted to do, and we didn't have to go without. Mm-hmm. But that stigma. So was I really guilty, or did I feel guilty because society said that that's not what I should do? Right? My son was loved. He was cared for. He was fed. He was in a good environment. He did everything he needed to do. So maybe I shouldn't have.
If there was a man out there doing the same thing,
nobody would.
He wouldn't even think twice about it.
Yeah. And neither would people. Neither would society. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And society's the last bullet point. We do way too much.
Way too much. Worrying about what people think about our weight, our hair, what car we drive, what nails we put on.
Our job, our man.
Whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Don't care about what nobody thinks. Care about what you think.
And what makes you happy. Yeah.
And what makes you happy. 100%.
Yeah. And so I'll tell you one last story. I heard this the other day and I thought this was just profound. Basically, the gist of it is that if you really get down to the nitty gritty, people really don't care that much about you. They don't pay that much attention to what you do. The suggestion that was made was to wear the same thing to church every Sunday for 5 Sundays, or wear the same thing to work for 3 days, or do something that should be super obvious and watch how much people really aren't even paying attention. So what that says to me and what I took from that is, do you.
Do you. Do
what makes you happy. Do the thing. Buy the thing, do the thing. If you want to, if you want to travel. And if you want to start a business. And if you want to, if you want to you want to change the way you dress, or you want to change.
If you want to wear purple hair, ladies,
do it.
Rock it.
Yeah.
Because you deserve to be happy. You deserve everything. Absolutely. Everything. That's it, ladies.
And don't you forget it. All right. We love you. We'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.